Hey guys, it's Moogalord here, and today we're going to talk about the Square Enix Final Fantasy VII 25th Anniversary showcase that they had yesterday. And I must say that I walked into it with low expectations, but I ended up walking away from it after it was all said and done pretty satisfied. I was satisfied from what Square Enix had to show off in terms of Final Fantasy VII content is concerned. So we're going to just unpack this, we're going to dive right into it, and definitely want to hear your thoughts. Now, for starters, if you haven't checked out the live stream, which I suggest you should come to my live streams when these showcases happen, because you guys get a chance to actually get my live reaction to a lot of the content that developers show, and I just enjoy engaging with you guys. I think it was pretty fun. But you can check out the archives back on my Twitch TV. I'll leave that in the link in the description below or in the pinned comment. But as far as the showcase is concerned, I walked in already expecting what they were going to show. I said they was going to show some Final Fantasy VII First Soldiers, which is the Battle Royale game for mobile devices. And I must say, when they showed it off, they showed Season 3 is in fact on the way. And I said in my stream is that the Battle Royale actually looks really good. I think when it comes to the Final Fantasy IP, there's so many things that Square Enix can do to utilize it to expand to a wider audience of different, genres and gamers with different tastes. And I always said that the First Soldier looks really good. It's just the fact is that it's on mobile devices. And I said it before that First Soldier is more so geared towards their Japanese audience. So I understand why the focus is on mobile. But my God, what they're showing off at that conference for First Soldier Season 3, like I said before, the designs of the characters and the different aesthetics, like as far as the costumes are concerned, looks really good. And the different classes that they're introducing, different weapons, I just think it's a unique battle royale. And since I can be pretty biased, I love Final Fantasy VII. If you wanted to get me to play a battle royale game, I would actually get into that more specifically because it's Final Fantasy VII and it's like a different twist on the genre as well. And what they're showing off, I thought it was pretty cool. Hopefully it's Square Enix, if they were smart, they would re-release it or remaster it so they can put it onto like current gen consoles and everything. I just think they'll make a killing off of it, especially with all the different microtransactions and skins that you can get. Fans will gobble that up. Fans would definitely buy it. So I don't know why they wouldn't put it on consoles. But other than that, I really think it looked really good. Now, the elephant in the room. People are wondering, when will Square Enix show off some more Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis? And I mentioned this in a video before, that this showcase would have to show that off, and they most certainly did. And I noticed that there was like some little hints of something that they was like foreboding, something that they were hinting that it was going to show next Ever Crisis, is because they more so showed off Crisis Core gameplay, and they showed off Final Fantasy VII gameplay within Ever Crisis. They didn't bother to show what Average Children is going to be like, or Dirge Cerberus, or I said Average Children, right? Yeah, and the was it Before Crisis? They didn't show any of that stuff. They only focused on Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core and Final Fantasy VII Remake. And I'm always going to say this. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to have to repeat myself. This is what I was expecting from a Final Fantasy VII Remake. Something that's still true to heart to Final Fantasy VII, the original game, which we'll definitely get into a discussion about that much later in a later video, because I have something to talk about. But I love the character models. I love the art design. I think it's really cool. And they showed more emphasis on the battle system, which, like I said, they're using the Final Fantasy VII Remake character models when it comes to the battle. Now, the thing is, if you're just now being introduced to this game through this showcase, the game will have a gacha system that's implemented into it. And as far as the gacha system concerned, I think as far as we know how it works, or what we think and speculate how it works, is that it's going to be more so focused on the costumes. Because if you notice, Cloud has a badass costume that resembles kind of like Final Fantasy Advent Children, and he also has a katana as well. So I think weapons and costumes will be a thing, and skins will be a thing when it comes to the gacha system when it comes to the battle. But the fact is that they were focused on the actual Nibelheim backstory that Cloud was telling, and then it would go back to Final Fantasy Crisis Core for the Ever Crisis, so they were showing both of the similarities. But I would say, like I said before, it looks gorgeous, especially for a mobile game. And then at the end of the trailer, they also show something else that I don't know what it's supposed to mean, what they're hinting at. But it looks like they showed a much younger Sephiroth. He had shorter hair Sephiroth, which looks nuts. I must admit. But I don't know what is that hinting towards. I don't know if there's going to be some differences added into the Ever Crisis. We're going to just have to wait and see. But that really caught me by surprise. Now, the next game they decided to reveal, and this was pretty much leaked beforehand, and people were at this point was now expecting it because of how the overlap between Crisis Core and Final Fantasy VII when the Ever Crisis was constantly being shown off. And it looks like we will be getting a Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core remastered called Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion. Now the thing is, if you're new to my channel, I've been saying numerous of times to people who follow me here on this channel, is that I'm not really a Crisis Core fan. Never really cared about it. In fact, you may hate me for this, I believe the compilation was the worst thing that happened to Final Fantasy VII as a series altogether. It wasn't necessary. It didn't need to happen. And Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core to me was just the worst, especially character assassination and so many retcons and changes that changed the overall original story, in my personal opinion. But besides that, it's still, I would still say that Square Enix was able to still give the fans what they want, because a lot of people do love Crisis Core. So kudos to the fans who really wanted to replay this game. And like I said, I'm all for remasters, because this is essentially a remaster. This is not a remake. From what we see right here, it has a ton of graphical upgrades, but it seems like the story is going to be one-to-one. I don't think they're going to be adding anything new in terms of story, and if they probably do, they probably will try to link it towards Final Fantasy VII Remake. Who knows? But looking at the visuals, it's definitely a step up from the PSP version. The character models looks absolutely beautiful, especially for this remaster. They're not trying to go all out and do Final Fantasy VII remake type graphics, but they wanted to give you a bump up in the upgrade so you can be able to play it on modern generation and just modern hardware in general. Now also there was also some changes as far as the voice acting is concerned. I believe it's using most of the current Final Fantasy VII remake voice actors, which is debatable whether or not you like them. A lot of people stop liking the Zack voice actor, and I understand. I'm not really too fond of his voice either compared to the original Zack voice actor in Crisis Core and in Advent Children. So yeah, that's just kind of strange. But anyway, it looks like that Square Enix had delivered on that. It seemed like this is what fans want, and fans are expressing how much they're looking forward to it on Twitter. So that's a really good. And not only that, shockingly, it's also coming to all platforms, including the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X and Series S. So Xbox fans are getting that, which is still kind of weird, is that the Xbox fans are only getting the Crisis Core remaster, but still haven't yet to get the Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1 for the Xbox. And yet Steam has Final Fantasy, and the Steam Deck has Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1, which is crazy how that happened. But anyway, we're going to move on to the last final announcement, which everybody was waiting for, everybody's expecting, and I was shocked once we got the release date and everything. So we got a lot of things answered here. So they finally showing off a teaser to Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, which is now officially called Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now you guys can see my reaction in the stream where I talked about it, because it's called Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We talked about a leak that was leaked out that mentioned that and how many parts the game is going to be, and also leaked out some potential spoilers in it, which was quite disappointing. But like I said, it's just rumors. You can check out the stream where we talked about it. But anyway, I must say that there's a lot to, I'm actually doing an analysis video much later, but like I said, the game's going to do the Calm flashback where Cloud talks about his experience going to Nibelheim and how the Nibelheim massacre happened when Sephiroth killed pretty much everyone in Nibelheim, including his parents, his mother, and Tifa's family as well. But the dialogue was quite interesting because Cloud mentioned how Tifa was wounded and he didn't think she was going to be alive, and Tifa responded, paraphrase, so what are you trying to say? You think I'm some type of imposter? Something that she never said in the original. So I'm already knowing right there for a fact is that this game is about to head into a completely crazy direction. I can almost guarantee you that this part right here, Final Fantasy Rebirth, is going to be a totally different experience. Get the original out your head. I believe that this game's gonna go to a completely different direction, but I don't want to stray away from the actual point or whatever like that, because I'll go in all day. But they show some gameplay of Cloud and Sephiroth walking together. So like I said before, I'm pretty sure probably Sephiroth is going to be playable in the Nibelheim segment, that you actually get a chance to play as him, alongside Cloud. So that's something to actually, I guess you say look forward to see how he plays and see how powerful Sephiroth is, especially during that time period. And the fact is that you also hear Aerith talking about how she's trying to find him, Zack, and how Zack failed her, and it shows Zack holding Cloud walking towards incomplete Midgar. So there's a lot of things that's going on in that trailer that's really, really crazy. But that wasn't the thing that really took me back. The thing that took me back is the fact is that the game is in fact coming out winter 2020, I guess you say 2023, or just next winter. Now, next winter could mean anything, because the winter normally lasts from December to February. So it could definitely lead into just 2024. It could be a 2024 release. It could be like a January 2024 or or February 2024. Or it could be December 2023. It could be a holiday release. We don't know. But the fact is that it's a winter release. It can fit anywhere in that same window as Final Fantasy 16, which I was not expecting, because essentially what I said before is that Final Fantasy 16, where I thought Final Fantasy 16 was going to come out this year, and then next year Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 will release. Well, it looks like that not only will Final Fantasy 16 release next year, it could be a possibility that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is going to release right after that, not too long after that. So that's crazy. We getting like hit with like a double whammy of mainline Final Fantasy games, which is crazy. I was not expecting that. So it's, if you're a Square Enix fan, you're a Final Fantasy fan, you have a lot to look forward to, especially the Crisis Core fans, who are getting Crisis Core remastered later this year or in the fall. So that's pretty much crazy. Now, they also announced that the game will also be 3 parts. The game is going to be 3 parts, which makes sense. I said 3 parts a long time ago, because 3 discs, 3 parts. And not only that, essentially the 3rd disc in Final Fantasy VII Remake, the original, wasn't really a full experience. It's pretty much you fighting Sephiroth at the Northern Crater, or finishing up on any sub-quest and fighting the ultimate weapons and stuff like that. But the fact is that it's going to be 3 parts, letting us know that Part 2 is going to be pretty lengthy in terms of gameplay, which is also a good thing as well. I'm glad that they're not breaking it up and trying to do like 7 to 8 parts and stuff like that. So that's a good thing. But overall, I walked away satisfied with this. I really did. And Square Enix had delivered for the fans when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Remake or Final Fantasy VII content in general. Whether or not how I feel about this whole Rebirth thing, we're going to dive into a whole separate video when it comes to that. But for now, I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Final Fantasy VII 25th anniversary showcase from yesterday? Definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you excited for the Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core remaster and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is aimed to come out next winter? Definitely want to hear your thoughts. So if you like the video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, because it definitely helps me in the algorithm. And don't forget to hit that bell to be notified for more gaming news and also Final Fantasy VII news in the near future. This is Mugen Lord signing off. I'll see you game team later. Peace out.